We're back. Welcome on in to Anything Goes on member-supported WFDU FM. I am Lise Avery, and let the Bobby Darin festivities begin. I would like to welcome Bobby Darin, archivist for many, 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 many years. I mean, only a few years, right? You're only a babe, right?
Just
Jimmy
a babe.
Scalia.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us, but before we identify the two tunes that we just heard, which of course are very rare tracks that you provided to me, how does one become the Bobby Darin archivist? What is that?
Divine intervention, I guess. I don't know. I think I was just a lucky guy. I just fell in love with a performer and just believed in him, and things, just worked for me. I was basically a collector.
Okay.
So I collected music, I collected videos. I used to have video stores, and then I had gotten to meet some people who were into the web or the internet in the early days, and they formed a website.
Okay.
And I kind of helped them along. And then when the Darin family found out, and Steve Blauner, then they rendered my services, and I got to digitize all that rare stuff, the Vegas line taps and all that.
Uh-huh.
So I was a kid in a candy store.
Tell everybody who Steve Blauner was. You just lost him recently.
Yeah, we did. Steve Blauner was a wonderful man. He was Bobby Darin's manager. He started with Sammy Davis Jr. and later on went to be a big force in the film industry with BBS. He helped create the Monkees and worked with Jack Nicholson and did a lot of stuff. But all the things he was successful at, he just always loved being Bobby's manager. That was his Comet ride. So, and then we just, lost him just a year ago in June.
And so we just heard a couple of rare tracks. One, we heard of Bobby Darin with Jackie Gleason, When Irish Eyes Are Smiling, from the Jackie Gleason Show. So tell us about that, and then we'll move on to the track that we just heard from Roger McGuinn.
That was kind of neat, because he did sing that song, and we don't really recall him having any audio of that, other than maybe like in the milk shows, those abbreviated versions,
Right.
So he did the Jackie Gleason Show, and it was great. I think they were just chatting together, and that's when they started having a banter back and forth, and then that was the song he did on that show, which was really kind of good.
It's very, very nice, actually.
Yeah, especially around March.
Okay, fair enough. Now, you just handed me a CD of other rare tracks. Now, where did these come from, including the Roger McGuinn, Judy Collins introduction one that we just heard?
Yeah, well, these tracks, there's... What I was thinking of was when we were discussing, maybe we can do a 6th degree of Darin, almost like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, because Bobby Darin was so versatile. He was able to write and be pronounced in people's careers, like Wayne Newton, Roger McGuinn, just so many people, and he had a big impact on them. And I just wanted to share that, because some of these people are not just in the Frank Sinatra, the American Songbook standard, or even the 50s. It's contemporary, or I can't say really contemporary, but FM rock. And that's where Roger McGuinn comes, because Bobby had hired Roger McGuinn when his name was Jim McGuinn, and Chad Mitchell Trio he was playing with. So he was into the folk music and stuff. But Darin hired him, made him his guitar player, and then kind of nurtured him along to be a rock star, like a rock and roll star. And that's what he did. And then he even created a group, the City Surfers, that I believe Darin wrote. Well, Roger was a writer working for Darin. He hired him as well. And they did that song. It was more like a Beach Boy song, and that's where the Judy Collins, because these cats were kind of hanging out by the village.
Yeah, they were.
Dylan was just starting to come on the scene and stuff like that. So that's how that came about. And if not for all that, maybe we would not have the Byrds, and just a lot of that other great music, that Flower Power, man.
I think there was a scene in Chicago as well as a scene in New York, right? I think
right.
Roger was. I've spoken with Roger here on the show, and I thought he was part of the. I'm not sure if I'm making that up, but I think he might have been part of the Chicago scene as well. So tell us a little bit about the Judy Collins track.
Okay, fine. what he did is he did a great duet with Judy Collins. You know, Darin loved Dylan, just as Dylan was coming on the scene. He was promoting Bob Dylan when people really didn't know him yet. So Darin always had his eye on the talent. And what they did is, in 1969, Bobby Darin and Judy Collins did a duet with Bob Dylan's song, I'll Be Your Baby Tonight.
That's amazing. And, you know, we love it when you're here, Jimmy, because we get to learn cool stuff. What I have in my hand, I don't have it in my hand because I flung it behind me. Okay, this is so beautiful. I have to say, Jimmy Scalia, I know you had a hand in creating this. This is a double CD set of Bobby Darin's milk shows, and it's more than just a double CD set, you guys. It's a book. It's beautiful. It has beautiful pictures, lots of information. So tell us, what were the milk shows, Jimmy, and how did they come about?
Well, the milk shows were done, I believe it was 1963. American Dairy Association asked Bobby to do like a 5-minute show, one show a day for a week, you know, and he did like people like Sinatra one week, or maybe Bing Crosby, and some of his own hits, and just a bunch of songs, and they were abbreviated, and then all of a sudden they were lost. So Steve Blauner would say for years, you know, we did these milk shows. We can't find them. I don't know where they are.
Did you know what the hell he was talking about? The first time you said to me the milk shows, I was like, what?
Yeah.
What's a milk show?
I was kind of like, you know, his idea was Bobby was going to be the last guy to have a Bobby Darin show on radio. Because at that point, it was all starting to be phased out. You know, everything was television with the, you know, the vaudevillian people or what have you.
Yep.
So what they did was, for years, we asked Dick Berkey, Bobby's piano player, and you know, Ronnie Zito, you know about those milk? They would say, I remember, but
nobody
I don't
knew
know
where
where
they were.
No.
That's something.
And we just found them in the vaults in Capitol, and that's how they came about. And we sat on them because they were abbreviated. So how do you really put them out?
Yep.
And then we thought, you know what? It's, you know, stripped down. You got a piano, you got a bass, got some, you know, drums or whatever, and that's it. And they were great renditions, so we'll just put them out for what they are. And you get to hear his interpretation sometimes of even songs that you're familiar hearing him sing, and they're a little different. So it's kind of cool. It's stripped down. He's all naked.
And congratulations to Ivan of the Bronx. He won a copy of the double CD set of Bobby Darin's milk shows, and because he knew the answer was, Jimmy Scalia,
it was Splish Splash.
I was taking a bath.
There you go.
Is there a backstory about that song that everybody loves so much that you can tell us?
Well, was it literal? Well, actually, no. You know who wrote it? Who came up with the idea was Murray the K's mother, Gene Kaufman.
See, now I'm glad I asked. Murray this is not something I wouldn't have anticipated this.
And, you know, he would hang around with Murray the K. He was going to do a radio show, so Bobby was hanging out with him. He was going to take a shower and get ready for the radio show. And Murray's mother calls up and says, oh, I got a title for a song, Splish Splash, Take a Bath. So they laughed, and Bobby laughed, and he goes, why don't you see if you can write something? So Murray goes, and he takes a shower and gets ready for it. And he comes up with Splish Splash. And he even gave Gene Kaufman writing credit.
Oh, that's hysterical.
So if you look at the label, it's not just Darin.
So then she got residuals and
she's getting, I guess. I don't know about that. Or her family is now. Right.
See, this is why you're here, Jimmy Scalia, because you're the only one who knows stories like that. And we just heard a really cool track of the work song from the Bobby Darin DVD, Seeing is Believing, which we will be giving you a chance to win. Tell us about Seeing is Believing.
Seeing is Believing is like the sister product to Aces Back to Back. I mean, you and I had a wonderful friend by the name of Joel Dorn. And when Aces Back to Back did so well, we had these songs from the Bobby Darin shows, and we decided to make a DVD. So I got to hook up with Joel Dorn again, who was like the coolest cat in the neighborhood.
He was. It just oozed out of his pores.
Yeah,
I don't know how people do that. Okay. Yeah. We want folks to know how to learn more about Bobby Darin, because I was on Facebook yesterday, I have to say, and there's like it's the Wild West. How do we know which is you, Jimmy Scalia, and the Darin family? How do we find the right website, the right Facebook page, so that we can get reliable information?
Well, there is an official Bobby Darin Facebook page. We had been working at it for a while, and thank goodness to Julian Klein from APCO Records. He helped us out. So did Bobby Rydell's girl. She helped us out, Linda Hoffman. And working in conjunction with them, we now are verified. We have a blue check. It's Bobby Darin at official Bobby Darin. If you go on Facebook, you'll see that blue check. And a young lady by the name of Patricia Zimmer helps, and she runs that along with. And we also have the official Bobby Darin website, which started it all. And there's a team of gals there as well.
And that's what's the address for that?
www.bobbydarin.com.
Okay, so
that you can find,
Okay, because I on Facebook I have to say there's a huge one that's Bobby Darin -singer, which is not you guys. I don't know who started it, but it's not official information. So if we want to know that what things are being released and what's really going on with Bobby Darin releases and things like that, that we have to find the check mark on Facebook.
Absolutely, because then what it is Dodd Darin oversees it along with myself. So any information that is posted is as accurate as you can get.
Okay, there you go. And very cool stuff, you guys. And I'll bet this interview ends up there as well, as a matter of fact.
Right.
I'm just saying. So choose a trivia question, and you guys, it's just about 11:48.
Okay, let's see. Bobby Darin was offered his own variety show by NBC in 1972. What was the name of the show?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. What was the answer? Well, do you have any choices for us?
Well, let's see. Was it Bobby Sings, the Bobby Darin Amusement Company, the Bobby Darin Show, or NBC Presents Bobby Darin?
Yeah, okay then. And the number to call, 201-692-2012. Your prize will be a double CD set of Bobby Darin's The Milk Shows. So tell us, Jimmy, Bobby's not here with us. He died when he was 37? Is that right?
Yes, 37 years old.
He wasn't expected to live past about 15 or 16. Is that correct?
Exactly.
And so he really, really lived beyond his expectation, and he lived every moment.
Yes.
To the fullest.
Yeah.
But he's not here anymore. So if we really want to get a touch and just an iota of a Bobby Darin experience, who do you recommend? Who do you suggest?
Well, there are a number of people out there who really can carry the torch. Bobby Rydell just blew me away. Every time I see him, he blows me away. And he does a nice little tribute to Bobby, because I know he really loved Bobby. He loved Frank. And so if anybody can get a chance to go see Bobby Rydell, I'm telling you, it's well worth it. I think he's even playing in New York July 6th or 7th, somewhere like that, maybe next week. We saw him with a 16-piece orchestra, so he's top shelf.
Nice. Bobby Rydell.
Yeah. Another guy is Dennis Stefano. He was formerly of the Buckinghams, Kind of a Drag and Mercy Mercy.
Oh, yeah, we love that stuff.
But he's got great chops on him, too. And he does a show called, I'm leaning over here.
That's okay.
I Remember Darin. That's
there
his tribute. And he'll do some of his hits, but, he does a lot of Darin tunes, and he does them good. So he'll do some folk, but he can even do the swing stuff, like the Beyond the Sea and all. So if anybody can check out, Dennis Stefano, if he's in your area, go see him.
Tufano, Tufano, right?
Tufano,
Dennis.
Right.
All right, very cool. What was the answer to the question, by the way?
Well, first of all, the answer to the question was the Bobby Darin Amusement Company.
I love that name.
Yes. It was actually Dean Martin Presents the Bobby Darin Amusement Company, because it was a summer replacement for the Dean Martin show on NBC.
Oh, no kidding.
So
that's great stuff. The Dean Martin stuff is great.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. We need DVDs of that, Jimmy Scalia. Does that footage exist? Of the Bobby Darin Amusement Company?
Well, they're not out on, no.
No.
So, they could be in a vault somewhere.
That's your next project.
Own those.
Come on.
I'm on it.
Come on.
I am on it.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So, I just started to play a track, and we're coming on up to the 12 o'clock boop, so we are going to run out of time shortly. So I want you to tell the story, if you could,
all right.
And then we'll run a little bit into the 12 o'clock hour, because this is a really interesting story about Mary Clayton, right?
Yes. Okay, so what happens is in 1963, Bobby Darin's recording now for Capitol. He's off of Atlantic Records, ATCO. And he decides he wants to, he does a folk album, he does a swing album, and now he's going to do a country western album.
Oh,
but
amazing.
what he's going to do, he's going to augment like brass with it. And he does. So he makes
country
this
western with brass?
Yeah.
Like
believe it or
tubas
not,
and
yes,
trumpets?
Yeah, yes. And Shorty Rogers is arranging it. And so what he does is he wrote, like, You're the Reason I'm Living and all this and that. That's country tunes. And then they had these background singers come in, and I believe one was like Darlene Love and Mary Clayton, and they were doing like, you know, background vocals. And when he heard that this one girl, she stood right out. And Steve Blount has said it too, so he turns around, and Bobby did a duet with her on that album, and it's called Who Can I Count On? And you can hear her on that song from that album, and signed her at 14 years old on his publishing company. And shows he was the first one to ever sign her at that age, and then years later she went on to other exciting things that we know about in the rock history.
That is amazing. That's
but
really amazing.
It was Bobby who spotted her.
That's amazing. Well, we won't have time to hear the track. We have a minute, so I want to.
Okay.
Well, we'll hear it on the other side of the 12 o'clock hour. So, where'd you find these tracks?
Well, these tracks are available. I mean, these were off. They came out on disc years ago. They might not be available now.
They were on record?
Amazon. Well, they were initially
records?
on record, yeah. This
Okay.
is not necessarily rare. You can find them maybe on certain greatest hits on Capitol. You might be able to stream them, you know, on like Spotify or maybe iTunes or whatever.
Okay.
So this is not necessarily rare stuff, but it just tells you the story, how the eye was always on the money. He can always spot somebody and bring them out to the forefront.
Right.
So he wanted others to grow as well.
Well, talent loves talent.
Yeah.
That's really
Yes.
the way that it is, and I think that there's a myth in show business that it's cutthroat, and that's not generally my experience. Is
Right.
that people who entertainers tend to be actually very appreciative of other entertainers and generally very kind and generous, etc., etc.
What happens is then, like 7 years later, she's a background singer, and 7 years later, she gets a call late at night, and I think she's in slippers. I think she was even expecting curls in the hair. And
Funny slippers,
somebody
fuzzy ones.
wanted her to do some background stuff, and she really, wasn't into it. But I guess her husband talked her into it, and she did it. And this voice that Darin witnessed years back became like a real staple in a major rock and roll song.
Great interview excerpt, Jamie Scalia. Thank you so very much. And you guys, all I can tell you is it has been a blast, as always, hanging out with Jimmy Scalia, Bobby Darin archivist. Oh, Anthony, I'm going to pot up a mic for you. I want to know a little bit about your film before you guys leave. Anthony Scalia, and where can we find your work? Tell us about your film. You just won an award, right?
I actually did, yes. I did a documentary on my father called Jimmy Scalia, An Honest Portrait, and it's on my YouTube page, Shark Bite Productions on YouTube, Shark Bite Productions on Facebook and Twitter, and Instagram as well.
Very good. And are you still in school?
I just graduated in May, and before I graduated, I managed to take home Best Short Documentary at my school film festival for the film, and second place at Project FX in Red Bank for it as well.
Very, very cool. Congratulations. So
Thank you.
we have to okay, and you have sharkbiteproductions.com. That's where we want to find you.
SharkBiteProductionsLLC.com on
Okay.
the website,
All
and
right.
Shark Bite Productions, everything else on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Very nice. Well, thanks, you guys. Nice to see you. And we're going to keep the music coming at you here on Anything Goes with something from Miss Anita O'Day. It's a Frank Lesser tune. And, well, it's a segue from Mary Clayton because we were talking about murder, and this is murder, he says.